here with Mathieu, an entrepreneur, author, athlete, and speaker based in Ottawa, Ontario. Good morning, Ashley.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. I understand you weren't always an entrepreneur, athlete, author, and speaker. You were a public servant at one point. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So with the federal government, I filled two specific positions. And so with that, I was able to travel all over the country, meet really cool people, work within other departments. So we teamed up with other ones such as like D&D and whatever. So I was a total of just over 8 years with the federal government. And so I got to see both my hands-on position, the politics behind that, and then my behind a computer position that I eventually went into to change things up, and saw the difference with the work environment within the office. And there's a lot of toxicity and negativity. And
were you a full-time, indeterminate employee with the full pension and benefits?
Yep. Yeah, so I was full-time, and okay. I started when I was really young too. I started when I was 19. So I got in pretty young. And I know one of the biggest questions for a lot of people within the government is, what do I do with my pension? Or I have, 10 plus years in my pension. I don't know what to do with it. And, coming from now the entrepreneur background is invest. So you have opportunities to invest, but in Ottawa, we're so used to just having that pension come out, and we think the pension is the end all be all. But in actual reality, the benefits that you get as an employee of the government, you can get the same as an entrepreneur. Like, I have my own health benefits, except I'm physically, paying it every month versus it coming off my paycheck. I have a pension. I've invested my money into like RRSPs in different investment areas. So it's not much different than pension, except you're not seeing it come off, like you're not seeing it really come off your pay, whereas now I'm physically investing my money.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the pension is a form of forced savings, and somebody else is deciding where the investments go.
Yeah. So
that's a really good point. What prompted you, though, to leave the government and move into your own business?
A lot. One of the ones, or there's a few, so I'll go with the top ones. The toxicity within the workplace was a big one for me. Not allowing myself to be myself as an individual, and just the politics and the negativity within the departments. I tried to move around. Unfortunately, with the position I did hold, it wasn't transferable to a lot of sections. That was pretty specialized, so I wasn't able to really go anywhere else, which was for me tough, because switching to another section, even though I had loads of experience, switching to another section, it was harder for me because I didn't have maybe their specific experience. So the last 3 years being with the federal government, I was miserable. I was depressed. I developed anxiety. I wasn't happy with myself. It was affecting my personal life, and people were noticing. My family members were noticing, and friends. And when you get into that negative mind state, you don't really, you don't see what you do. You don't see your reactions. You don't compute what you've done, because you're so used to being negative that's like your normal state. And so it took me 3 years to really plan what I wanted to do. And it wasn't really planning. I ended up quitting at 2 a.m, going on a road trip, which is pretty ballsy for a lot of people when I tell them. But it was the best random decision. And it wasn't really random, but the quitting at 2 a.m. it was the best decision I ever made, because it forced me to really be who I was. I continued to be forced by myself to do things out of my comfort zone, which when you're in a controlled environment, such as like a government position, you can't really deviate because you have people bringing you back in. Whereas being an entrepreneur, I no longer live in a box. So I continue to do what I want to do. And I have done that for 6 years. And I've done a lot of things that I maybe wouldn't have been able to do if I was still working.
Right. Okay. And you say other people noticed also that you weren't at the top of your game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Friends, families, even my personal life was affected. And, they would tell me, except, what do you do when you're guilty of something? Typically, the human response is to either lash out or get defensive. And that's exactly what I was doing. But I never recognized it because my stubbornness kicked in, and I never wanted to admit guilt. And it wasn't until I finally, something personal in my life happened where I realized, you know what, like, you live one life, you don't know when your expiry date is. Why am I continuing to live in such a negative mind state when I was still young at the time. I was 27 when I quit. I have years and years ahead of me. Why am I still here? I know I'm meant for more, and I can do so much more and help other people.
Yeah, you're probably not alone in that. You find there are a lot of people feeling trapped in the public service?
So many. I get emails, I'm not even over exaggerating, weekly. I'll get one person a week that'll email me. They'll either hear of my name through someone, or they'll find me on the internet, or they'll see an interview that I've done on television or a speaking engagement or something. And they're just reaching out to see, like, what can I do to move on to something better. And I've had coffee with people. I've just met up with them and shot the shit with them and let them know about what I did. Now, I don't ever recommend people quit their job at 2 a.m. and go on a road trip.
Yeah.
I just hit my breaking point.
Right.
We'll all hit our breaking point at some point in life, whether it's with work or something else. Mine just happened to be with my career.
So what's the best reward now working on your own? Is
Freedom.
it just the freedom, huh?
Freedom. Freedom is huge, because freedom for me, like, anyone that knows me knows that I have no rules. Well, there is one rule: don't be a dick. That's my one rule. But I don't like having, I guess, lines on the road. I like to deviate. So being in a job where there's rules and guidelines consistently, and you can't do anything different or try something because of the risk of, it might not be a good thing. It's fearful. Being an entrepreneur, freedom is a huge thing for me, because I can be myself. I can dye my hair. I used to get shit all the time. I can dye my hair. I can try new things and fail at it, but I don't see like a failing project or idea as something bad. It's a learning experience.
Right.
So if I'm going to try it again, what can I do to make it better? I can do so many things. Like, I've written a book. I've opened up 3 businesses, including some other things. I've traveled the world. I've been hosting a couple television shows. I've been interviewed on many television shows. I've done a lot of different things.
So part of what I'm hearing, though, is, when you have that adventurous spirit and the willingness to try new stuff and whatnot, you don't really get that opportunity in the government. I mean, the government isn't built for people with an adventurous spirit.
No, because you have to put in time for vacation, and you have to ask permission to leave or to have a day off, and you might be short-staffed and you're not able to do it, and then you get told no. And when I left the government, it was about, I don't know if it was right away or a year after, it's on my blog, but I wrote a blog on comparing government to a prison. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, I had my badge number, my ID number, and so I had a number just like a prisoner would. It was barbed wire on the fence, just like a prisoner would have. You go for lunch at a certain time, you break at a certain time, you have orders. If you do something that's out of, like, your boundaries, you get in shit or you get written up and you get reprimanded for it. And I am not that kind of person that can live like that.
Yeah. You know what? Let's put a link to that blog in the description to this interview. Yep. So other people can go take a look at it.
Yep.
I think what holds a lot of people back is fear. They're just afraid to do what you did. Did you have any fear issues to deal with?
Fear is always a big one. I don't think fear will ever escape anyone's mind. It's a matter of overcoming it and knowing that the unknown is actually fun, which some people like, you're crazy. But the unknown is fun, and it can be fearful all at the same time. But if you don't allow yourself to feel fear and look at it in the face, you're never going to move forward. You're going to be stuck in the same place that you're at. And, like, I do things under the radar, like, away from social media, other business adventures. I try things. I'm doing one right now that I've done on a smaller scale. Now I'm doing it on a bigger scale, and I'm learning how to go through the motions and asking for help. But it's stuff like this that the average person won't do because they're fearful that they might fail or they might, like, screw up in a way. I'm not. I want to learn the process and just dive into new things. We live in the world in 2018 where the interwebs is everywhere and it's endless. So being in the government, say for Ottawa, people think that's the end all be all. If you go to the East Coast, which is my second home in Halifax, so hello to anyone in Nova Scotia, it's my second home. People are amazing there. They don't work for the government, or the majority of them. There's a lot of Navy out there, but they have normal jobs. They go home, they're happy. Same thing on the West Coast in Vancouver. And it feels like Ottawa, the mindset is work for government, check out at 30 years with full pension, live life.
Yeah.
Problem with that is you work 30 years. If you get there, you die a year later.
Yeah.
You never get to enjoy life. What's the point?
Yeah. So how did you decide on the career that you wanted to go with when you left the government?
I've been an athlete my whole life. So for me, helping people with fitness and health and mindset was huge, because for me, being an athlete, it got me out of a lot of dark times. And it was a no-brainer. So my last 3 years, I was actually doing personal training on my own time, and then also creating stuff. I was up till midnight, 1 a.m, working on things. And that side hustle, as Gary Vaynerchuk likes to call it, is what got me out. So 3 years of the side hustle gave me a path. Now, when I quit at 2 a.m, I still didn't really know what I was going to do, but I knew I had a window of opportunity somewhere. I took 2 months off, figure out what I want to do. And I'm like, why aren't I doing what I love, which is something to do with fitness and health? I was already certified as a trainer, certified in nutrition. Actually went and got certified as a life coach, so lifestyle coaching, and other certifications came about. And 6 years later, I love what I do. I have 2 franchises. I had 3 other territories where I taught people wanting to become personal trainers, recognized nationally for the work that I do. And
you've been able to have an influence. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and it's something I wouldn't be able to do if I would have a small, maybe minute impact if I was still doing what I was doing. But now I find I have such a bigger reach, and I'm able to do so much more with people on an individual level I would have never been able to do before. So for me, it means a lot more.
So I think part of the fear is people say, I don't know what I would do if I leave. Yeah.
You need to just think. It sounds so stupid, but when you're at home, I always tell people, think about what you love doing on your spare time, which is pretty easy. So we think about what we do. We think about, is it when you go out and you talk to people, do you find that you're always helping people? So maybe some sort of course in even staying where you're at, but creating almost like a wellness thing within your workplace, people to talk to.
But your career is continually evolving. You're not static.
All the time. I'm always learning, which is why I love the industry that I'm in, because I don't stop learning. I don't stop meeting new people. The opportunities are endless for me because, well, I have the internet. And it's just find out what you love and see how you can capitalize on what you love doing, or try things that you've never thought you'd like. Like, again, the project that I'm doing right now, ask me 2 months ago if I was going to do it, I would have no idea what you're talking about.
Good. So you have any sort of last minute advice for public service today who might be thinking about leaving and sort of kind of hesitant or afraid?
First thing I would say is get the negativity out of your mind when you're thinking about your change. If your mind is constantly wrapped in the negativity of the space that you're in and you're trying to create a future, you will block yourself. You're not going to be able to think what you want. Understand what gratitude is. Gratitude, understand what you have. Be grateful for it instead of being negative about everything that's around you. And understand that you're meant for more. Being in a box of a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, is not what we're typically meant for. Some people do great at it. A lot of people don't. And I mean, if you're someone who loves what you're doing with the government, that's amazing. Stay where you are if you like it, cool. If you're someone that's on a constant daily struggle, understand that you're meant for more, appreciate the gratitude, appreciate the time of 2018 that you're in, because there's so much out there, and just don't be afraid. Look fear in the face, and just believe in yourself.
Great. That sounds really good advice. I understand you have a podcast too?
I do. It's called The Candid Savage. So I can give you a link for that as well. It's on iTunes and Podbean, as well as on the website on there. So typically every Monday I release a new one. Every 3 weeks there'll be like a recap week where I kind of bring in the old ones. But it's everything health, fitness, lifestyle, and entrepreneurship related topics. And so that, I have my book.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of stuff. I'll give you all that lovely stuff.
Yeah, let's put it in the description. I really appreciate your time for helping people this morning. I know a lot of people are sort of looking for good role models, and I think you're one. So thank you, Ashley.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.